A friend of mine actually asked me this week, what do Presbyterians actually believe? It's a system of governance more than a belief system. Elam Davies said pastors look to favorite films by directors Truffaut, Fellini, and Louis Braun, and their congregations look to films like The Sound of Music. Elsa von Trapp said the real story of The Sound of Music is very close to the film version. It's just didn't happen quite in that order or in that context. She said it didn't happen in real life, but it did happen in the film. I told my friend, we're not saved through the blood or the spirit. We're conjoined in the resurrection through Christ. We can't be resurrected into our life because we're living our life within the life of God's life in the world. It might not happen in real life, but it's happening in the film. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about making an idol of no idols, the alchemy of money, public places, and living a private life in public. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Isaiah. Your sin has been blotted out. And from Corinthians, Christ appeared first to the people and then to the disciples. The gospel was from Luke. You have to catch a lot of fish to get people's attention. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Randy Hollerith. Randy preached about faith. We all wonder what it means and what it is. We can't find faith reading about someone else's faith. We need to go into the deep water and experience it. The deep water is beyond all of our control. Randy said the disenfranchised are often already in the deep water ahead of us. Jesus and the Disinherited, a book by Howard Thurman, explores this theme. Martin Luther King carried this book with him on his ministry. He was preaching to people who were already in the deep water. Randy said we're all in the deep water now. We're at a crossroads of national sovereignty and the sovereignty of God in the world. The state doesn't recognize the sovereignty of Christ, but we do. Christ said being Christian is not politics. Politics and politicians will never save us. Falling short of God's will has consequences, but they're not Democrat or Republican. Clearly, the world does not follow God, nor do our leaders follow God's will. Saying this is not a political statement, it's a theological one. Randy cares about God and what he has to say. Jesus is about everything, but not about politics. We need to hold on to that. Nothing is more lasting. At St. James Cathedral, the sermon was by Stephen Balke. Stephen said, we're all feeling overwhelmed and anxious. It's easy to say, woe is me, with everything going on in the world. We're all waiting for a sign and a clear idea of what we're supposed to do. We're looking for purpose now. We say, here I am, Lord, call me. And Christ says, forgive, forgive, forgive. And we say, anything except that. It's not the instruction we're looking for. We don't see it as what we need because it's not what we want. We're so angry, we don't want to forgive anyone. Stephen said there's a new book called Boom. It's about the anthology, economics, and philosophy of a boom. It takes three things to create a boom: technologically, economically, or religiously. It takes a market or community plus a shared vision of leadership. Stephen said St. James is a community with the vision and leadership to see St. James as a growing, thriving place. We're just waiting for the boom part. It's all about leadership. The clergy's job is to manifest the Lord for the congregation and then manifest the congregation back to the Lord. We glorify God, lifting each other up, and then offer thanks back to God. We've had the boom and the bust in our world. We navigate between what we need and what we want. Stephen didn't mention the third thing needed for the boom, but I assume it's the power and the glory of God to give us the energy, will, and capital to accomplish it all. The difference between not me, God, and yes, God, here I am. Cynthia Campbell once said that Fourth Church loves its pastors, but it turned out not to hold so true. My friend Richard told me they're still talking about Shannon at Moody Church because she was such a boom to their attendance and membership. Disruption in the marketplace is always bad for business. It breaks down social cohesion and sends profits plummeting. Karl Marx believed in an anthropological view of history. He believed we could transform the world instead of just interpreting it. He forgot the starting point of speaking to the community instead of trying to transform it, or banging it over the head by telling us we're all bad or have the wrong ideas about what we want, wanting sermon titles and an occasional reference to the New York Times. John Buchanan never forgot who he was talking to. We always felt included. He reflected God's amazing love to us and then reflected the love of the congregation back to God, even if it wasn't 100% accurate. There's nothing wrong with being aspirational. When I invited my friend Sergeant McCormick to worship with us and to attend men's Bible study, he was reluctant. He said he didn't know anything about the Bible. It didn't matter because the clergy presents the word and interprets it on our behalf. He still wasn't quite so sure. In John Buchanan's sermon, The Wobbly Yes, he was standing before the board of examiners for seminary with another young applicant. The young man ahead of him expressed a heartfelt, lifelong call, and John wasn't so sure. He called it the Wobbly Yes. Both young men were accepted by the board. It's not so much about our sense of call as it is about the fact that God calls us. We all think we're living our lives in the world, and in fact, we are living our life in the world, but it's inside the life of someone else's life, and of someone else, God himself. Forgive, forgive, forgive. None of us want to say, call me Lord, but we often do it anyway. As a Lutheran, I was the beneficiary of predestination. And as a Presbyterian, I was part of the elect. As I drift away now from organized religion, I'm now a citizen of the world. It's the best kind of anthropological transformation Karl Marx could have ever dreamed of. If you'd like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour, Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I will be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.